welcome everyone to this conversation. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be on the podcast, on my YouTube, because I have a little playlist of when clients come and chat to me, which is really cool. And then we might clip it up as well. So wherever you're watching this or listening to it, welcome. The part I'm the most excited about this conversation is that I'm speaking with one of my clients, and her name is Lissy, which I'm never going to recover from the excitement of this. But we're just going to have a really good chat, and I haven't prepped her in any way for this conversation. We've literally just got on and spoken for 3 minutes, but I specifically wanted to have a conversation with Lissy. Working with her so far inside my program Rebirth has been so much fun. She's only 4 months in, and we have 10 whole months of support during that time. And I just thought it would be really cool to bring a few more conversations through of clients when they're only like dipping their toes in working together, because the results that I see are fast and stable and awesome, and it just felt really aligned. So, first of all, welcome, Lissy, and thank you so much for being here because I think this is going to be really fun.
Thank you for having me. It's actually so good for me, I think, to like have this conversation like midpoint because I can just see like the growth that's already happened and then just be really excited for like the next bit.
I love this.
Mm.
I feel like what we're gonna do, and especially for anyone listening to this, like I hate things to be like client reviews because that's just so fucking boring. So I mean, obviously this is a client review, but actually what I like to make it is a really interesting conversation that isn't just gonna feel like some fucking sales pitch to you guys who are listening, but actually something that you can really take a lot of things for yourself from. And I know Lissy's journey and just her as a human is going to be something that's really valuable to you listening to. And I feel like the real center point of this conversation is really surrounding feeling like a proper business owner, and really that journey of when you start a business and there's so many things that come up for us that you were so unprepared for. Like no one would tell you that you'd experience them or think, like, like when you discover problems that you're like, I didn't even think this was a problem type problem. And so I'm excited for anyone who's earlier in their business journey or maybe pivoting, so earlier in whatever they've gone into, to be able to take so much from this conversation to sort of see how you can fold timelines on your income, see where it's so important that you build your business in alignment from the beginning, as opposed to just being like, oh, I'll just chase the money and then I'll worry about, my work-life balance or boundaries or experience sort of after that. And I love that we've done that with you from the beginning. It's obviously not something I always get to do with people. Sometimes it's much later. But also really hearing from someone else those normal experiences of like doubting yourself sometimes or maybe dreaming quite small. So I thought it would be really cool, Lissy, if you just kind of explain to everyone like how you felt before Rebirth, like what was your journey and sort of why did you come into this space initially?
Yeah, sure. So I basically qualified as a hypnotherapist, and that was kind of trying to come out of a career in teaching and do something else. So there's a big backstory there. We don't need to go into it, but I started my business last July, so I've been going just literally a year now. And I was prepared for it to kind of go slow in the first few months. And then I had a really busy month in November, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, I'm literally smashing it. Like, I'm getting loads of inquiries. And then it went really quiet in December and January. And then I was kind of left thinking, like, I literally don't know what to do with this. And I feel like going in to it, I was quite naive. I feel like I didn't really realize that I would be running a business. I just thought I was going to do hypnotherapy and people would find me and they would find me. My clients would just come to me. Like, literally, that's what I thought. And so when I had those quieter months in like December and January, I was then feeling like I just didn't know what to do. And so I just basically wanted somebody to tell me what to do and how to become a business owner. And that's how I sort of came into looking at working with Ulysses and looking into joining, Rebirth.
I think it's so true, isn't it? And I think like when we have a business that we feel passionate about and we're doing service usually that we care about, and there's always a backstory to it. And I know your story is so powerful as to why you do what you do, which is amazing. Um, and definitely not mine to tell right now, but we can totally go there if you feel comfortable. I think so much of it is led by that. It's passion, like, oh, I want to do this
Mhm.
thing and I'm excited to do this thing. And so there's a really humbling moment where we realize that that passion isn't enough um, to actually really do something quite substantial with it, with the business, and essentially to make the money that you want to and reach the clients that you felt that you were going to, because there really is two parts. There's like what you do, and then there's running a business, and they are two separate things. But I know, and I did not prep you for this at all whatsoever, but I know for you there was, and you can correct me if any of this wording like doesn't hit for you, but there was an element of like dreaming small-ish. And I remember even like seeing that in one of your forms, and I think when we were on a group call, of potentially there wasn't even a moment 4 months ago when we first started working together where I don't think you were thinking like, I'm gonna be a millionaire, here we go, off we go, so how did that gap feel? Like, for example, if someone was listening to this and they were in that position maybe a year in, they've reached that point where they're like, oh, okay, just winging this and going for it isn't enough. But then equally, I'm not aiming to be like this multi-millionaire from this. What are your reflections on that piece in terms of like what I'm trying to say is I don't think you had the biggest goals in your business. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's so fair to say. I just basically wanted to replace the money that I was making working 3 days a week as a teacher. That was my
Okay.
goal. I was like, as long as I replace this money, like I'm good. That was my goal
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Yes. So that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because ultimately, if we're looking at getting support and coaching into something and supporting you to do that, it might be like, well, is it even worth me learning that stuff if I don't see myself right now as someone who wants
Hmm.
this like huge a dream? Well, and I think I'm too removed from that experience now myself. So like, what would you even say to that person? Or like, what has been what's like what have you seen for yourself there? Like, I'm actually interested in that anyway.
Well, I've seen a massive change in me, like in regards to that piece. So yeah, obviously starting out, it was just about as long as I earn X amount of money, that's fine, basically. And I didn't see myself as a business owner in the beginning. I just saw myself as someone who was offering hypnotherapy and getting money for it, which is like so different. And then actually, like one of the biggest objections I had to joining Rebirth was the money and thinking, like, is this the right place to invest my money? Like, obviously, being self employed for the first time and then making those decisions with the money that you've earned is feels really big at the time, and deciding where to put the money. And I actually had like loads of business coaches just in my DMs as well, just like, and I was then like, who do I even, if I go down this path, who do I even trust to invest that money like with? Um, so I think, yeah, a massive like shift for me has been just like stepping into that role, like as a business owner with a business head on, and being like, actually, this is like the potential amount of money I could make, like seeing one-to-one clients, which is where I'm at right now. So like my first financial goal is like, just what's my potential working one-to-one without burning out, obviously. And then the next step, but I can already see like the next step would be like something else. And I don't know what that is yet, but I already can see that I want to get there, which is amazing.
I love this. I think this is literally it for anyone in this position. Is it's like there has to become a bridge, and no one's coming to do that for you, but there has to be a
Yeah.
bridge that goes from like, shit, I actually never really saw this for myself. I now find
Hmm.
myself in a position where I do want more, and I get that I don't have the tools to get there. I just don't have the skills or knowledge to get there, which isn't that complicated, right? It's just a fact, like anywhere in life. But kind of owning that requires me to see myself as a bigger version before I've got there. And you have to make
Hmm.
the decision to create that bridge for yourself to be able to walk over it. But I think a really important part that maybe even I don't really talk into is that still doesn't have to mean anything. So it's not like there aren't these big extremes that people think. Like, it's not like, okay, I've gone from being someone who's sort of just doing hypnotherapy to I'm investing in coaching in my business, which is quite a big deal for me in this moment, you know, because that is quite a big difference, you know, in terms of the psychological decision, you go, you know, but also I don't have to make that mean that I'm now this like big ass business person that's like, and it doesn't mean you're writing it off. It just means it's not so extreme. It's not like either you have to stay where you are, which is very costly, versus you've sort of suddenly changed your whole fucking mind and now you're someone that you really weren't 5 minutes ago. It can just be that slight progression. Do you think that's
Yeah.
relevant?
Yeah, it's been like it has been like a subtle like shift over time for sure. And like
Mm,
I feel like one of the biggest like things for me that's just like really obvious now is like I think I used to think like, oh, I that couldn't be me, like earning that much money per month. But now I just think, why not me?
mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
it's kind of like enabled me to see that like everybody is on like a level playing field really, and it's just like, yeah, that could be me. Like that is a possibility.
And what would have like genuinely scared you about that before? Like if we'd had that conversation 6 months ago before we were in any kind of conversation, and just for the heads up for anyone, I was not in Lissy's DMs like all the other
No.
glorious business coaches on the internet. Like what would have scared you? Like what kind of stories or limits did you need to move away from, you know, choose to put down and stop prioritizing in order for that, for you to be empowered by feeling that, you know, what was threatening it?
I think like a big part for me is like feeling intimidated by people who already are wealthy and successful and just feeling like they're better than me or I wouldn't be like worthy to like be in the same room as them. Like I told that story in a Telegram, I think it was like last week, of like where I had this big realization that when you did your in-person event, Lissy, iconic, and I remember like a few people that I know were going to it, and I just had this feeling that I would never be able to go to that. Like I would never be like worthy of like being in that room and like being able to stand up and say like why I was like iconic, because I remember you asked them to do that.
Mm,
And now if I got invited to an event like that or I saw there was an opportunity to go, I'd be like genuinely be excited. And I would feel like I deserved like a place in that room and I would be able to say like what I brought to the table and feel like good about it. So it's like that level of, I guess it's confidence, isn't it? But I feel like it just goes a bit deeper than that. I can't really explain it. But
yeah,
people around
it's
me have noticed that in me as well. Like my husband keeps saying like, oh, you just like, don't know, just taking more care of yourself. Like you're just like speaking a bit, differently and whatever it is. It's like those really small little things, but actually they make like a really big difference
I love
over
this
time.
so much. I think the reason that I just really wanted to start there is because it just really dismantles this constant narrative people don't even realize that we're all programmed with, of like, I don't want to focus initially on the result that you've got, because the whole point is you aren't feeling the way that you now feel because you've earned more money. You're
Mhm.
actually like, it had to start with you. No one was here to mollycoddle you through that decision. Like, for example, for me, it was nothing to me whether you came into Rebirth or not. I would love you to have, you know, and I'm so fucking excited every time someone joins it. But like, we're going with and without whether people want to come. It's actually the onus is on you. Is it was you that needed to have that conversation with you of like, maybe I do want more, and maybe I'm making that harder for myself by not do, maybe I'm making this a really big thing when it doesn't need to be, but also you had to choose that maybe there could be a little bit more possible for you. And also maybe you didn't need to make that mean something huge. Like maybe it didn't need to mean that you need to become this like viral multi-million something, and maybe one day that will be your thing and maybe it won't. But it's like there's not these extreme levels of everything, but also really who you've become in that process is separate to what you've achieved. Like you're not feeling like a proper business owner because you actually know what you're doing behind your business and you're making more money. You do have those pieces, but actually that is an intrinsic shift, because such an important part of my message, as I know you know, is you can invest in like cheap strategy only business coaching, but you wouldn't feel the way that you're feeling now had you only been shown like, here's how to make better content, you know, like. And I think what's so empowering about that is everything that you've explained and what you're reaping the benefits from now, your business is reaping the benefits from now, and your family and, you know, your husband and your kids and everything like that was already inside you. And I think that's the coolest thing, and how, you know, we can be presented with the same opportunity, like you say, the same event that you saw online on January, or, you know, like it was an in-person event, but the same event that you saw in January, you would now feel like, yeah, I fucking deserve a seat in that
Mm.
room. But nothing has changed. It's not like you're making 100 grand a month. Okay.
Yeah,
Like, we'll talk about
exactly.
your results. But, you know, you could have had no financial gain and you would feel the way that you've just felt. And I think that's such an important shift, because I meet people making 20, 30 grand a month that don't feel the way that you're feeling now. And
Mm.
so to start your business with that foundation is fucking cool.
Yeah,
So
100%. And like before I did the work, like say I would have had this like financial result like in December and January, I also would have been like majorly stressing that like suddenly all my clients were going to disappear. And I feel like I wouldn't have got like a good handle on that. But I
yeah,
do.
like we should talk about that. That would be a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So if we were talking to Lissy 5 months ago,
hmm
we were saying, listen, you're starting to have this realization that you're a hypnotherapist. This is cool. This is what you do. And also, you need clients in order to match the money that you want to and help people, which is why you've started this thing in the first place. What are the things that you now are equipped with behind your business that are probably kind of no big deal? Like, it's not like we've put funnels in your business or like whatever. It's actually all very pragmatic stuff. But what kind of things do you now feel empowered knowing how to do?
Like the biggest thing for me is like how to reach cold clients because I was just waiting for people to find me essentially. I was waiting for like word of mouth and recommendations, and I do still get a lot of that. But just knowing the things that I could do to reach cold clients and just get in front of people and just get people knowing like what I'm doing and just sort of increase my visibility, even just like in the community. Because I think like this is kind of a side note, but I was very focused on like, I must be visible on Instagram. Like, I must like have all these eyes on me in order to get clients. But actually, it's like, it goes like wider than that. So just knowing like how I can get in front of people in all these different ways, like whether it's like guest speaking or getting on a podcast or like going live with somebody, I know that is Instagram, but in all those different ways, how to kind of let people know what I'm doing so that I'm in the forefront of people's minds when somebody mentions that they need some support with anxiety or confidence or whatever it is they want to work on. So that's like, for me, I know that sounds like honestly the most basic thing for
No.
like a business owner to know. But for me, that was like, oh, okay, yeah, I need to do that. Like, I need to actually like market myself. Um, so yeah, that's one piece that is definitely something that's really helping, I think, to gain me more clients.
Yeah, which has been massive for you. And for anyone listening, the way that I teach business is, because business is so fucking simple, it's just that Instagram complicated it, I think, is that business is cold, warm, and hot. Always has been, always will. And my first business was in person. So I'm not a huge driver, as you can see with what Lissy's doing, of like it has to all be online, or like the focus is on going viral. Like, I'm much more measured of just like, well, it works. It will kind of make sense for you to be getting known in the local area. Who'd have thought it? Like, called me old fashioned, but that like makes sense, you know, because you're really reaping the benefits from that. So where people tend to be before they come in is in that real, like, I don't know where to focus. And I know that's where you were, especially where you've got two
Yeah.
tiny kids and a teaching job
Hmm.
and a husband and, you know, a life to live. It's like I don't have a lot of time. So in that time, where do I focus? So
Hmm.
I mean, I think it was one session that you did in Rebirth. It will have been the first one
Hmm.
where we
It
really
was,
focus on like making your investment back because then you're equipped with like, oh, someone's told me what the fuck to do. So
yeah.
you're equipped with like, here's some selection of things that you can do to tick your warm, your cold. Here's a selection of things that you can do to tick your warm, and here's a selection of things to do your cold, which basically makes sure that like you literally need in a business, you consistently have new people seeing you, new people considering purchasing or booking in with you, and new people actually pulling the trigger and doing that. And so, if you're asking yourself the question, where do you need to focus? There, it's just a little task from each of those boxes in a way that you then know that you're not going to have a big month because we'll talk about your results, but then freak that it's all going to go Pete Tong, which will have happened in November, is without realizing you'll have done like a drive at one point, got loads of business from it, and then, you know, and it's such a complicated way of being. So you have three times what you're making, is that right? And quite consistently?
Yeah, so yeah, last month was my biggest earning month, and that was yeah, pretty much a 4 grand month. And then I'm on track to do the same this month. Yeah.
Fucking
So that
amazing.
is
And
yeah,
I
four
think your month
timesing,
before
three four
was
timesing.
really good. That's just unreal. And so the thing that I kind of wanted to draw attention to there is not like the bigger month, because I want everyone to make more money, but I don't like the vibe behind just like one big month, because I've seen a lot of business coaching where they're showing like the big month, and then I get the clients afterwards because the clients are like, I was dysregulated for 6 to 12 months after that point
Mm.
because it was so horrendous for me to do. And I know you've had a journey with burnout in the past and stuff. So what I'm much more centered on is making you more money, but making that consistent and making that sustainable. So, will you share a little bit on that? Because I know that's like two parts. Is like, I think it's fair to say, you can totally correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's fair to say you're working fewer hours and you've got more mental switch off, plus you have more strategic reliability that is actually going to repeat, as opposed to being like, okay, well, I did a big month, but am I just going to go in peaks and troughs?
Yeah, so when I first sort of started out, it was also my first experience of working from home. And I was just, I don't even know what I was doing with my time, like just emptying the dishwasher and then doing this and that, and like and really not focused. But I think it's because I didn't know what to do as well. So I was kind of just, I was very like wishy-washy with what I was supposed to be doing. So I was just getting distracted a lot. So definitely like my productivity has increased loads. Like I was like making content like every night, I would say till probably like 9, 10, which I'm not doing now, thank God. Because also I know like more about exactly how I'm creating my content and who it's for, etc. So it's just taking like way less time. So I'd say like obviously my time face to face, one to one with clients has increased because I've gone from where I was in March, which is maybe seeing like 7, 8 clients, to now doing consistently like 14 to 16. So in terms of client hours, it's more, but in terms of actual time spent thinking about the business or like working but not actually doing anything, it's way less. And like the energy that I'm giving to it is less because I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm really clear on what I'm doing strategically and
Mm-hmm.
like why I'm doing it, which is great. And just being on Instagram for that long making posts is such an drain, like energetically. So it's
Yes.
so nice that I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, fuck that. I feel
Mm.
like one of my favorite wins with you was during, I think it was the May holidays. I remember seeing this like little win, and I was like, oh, and you were like, you'd had one of your biggest, I think you'd had your biggest month that year, because I know it wasn't your
Yeah.
biggest month. So you were like, I've just had my biggest month of the year. We were like 8 weeks in or 7 weeks in or something. Um, but you were like, but I actually took like a week off
Yeah.
in May which would have been unheard of? And what was your mental experience behind that? So you're literally, because I feel like some people would find that so hard to wrap their heads around, or be like, oh, they must have done some like complicated fucking ads thing, but it's not the case. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I just was able to take the week off. Like I don't, it
Yeah.
wasn't like I just felt like I was secure in the fact of like how much money I'd already made, and I knew that like the week after the holiday was like fully booked.
Hmm.
And so I was, and I actually did book a client during that week, I think, because I think I was like on Instagram for some like, don't know, personal reason in one evening. And I actually had a DM from like a real like dream client, who I'm working with right now. She's amazing. And so it was just like, it was lovely. Like I wasn't doing any active like selling or marketing during that week, but because I had been doing it in previous weeks, like people were still coming through and inquiring. I had quite a few inquiries that week, but I remember particularly that DM from that client because she came through just Instagram like cold as well. And I think that was the first time that had happened. She had just found me on Instagram and been like, yes, I want to work with her. And she was like the perfect match for me.
I love that. I love
So
the
that's good.
simplicity of it because I think when people are looking at time, which is like one of my things, make more money, work less time or be on less time mentally, which really lives in the head, is that's why my one of my focuses
Mhm.
is stopping being able to calm your mind and switch it off, so you're really getting that rest and living a fucking life. But I think the other thing, if someone is thinking like, well, how do you work less time? Obviously, if you're client facing, that's not going to be less time. But again, it's understanding the quality of compound. There's such a difference between posting content, like you were posting a lot of content before we worked together, and your content was good. Like I'm looking at your content, like this is good content, but it wasn't, it could just be better. So it's like so many people are focused on like, should I post 2 to 3 times a day? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like before we worked together, I mean, geez, if you want to, I wouldn't want to. But I'm like, if you make those posts better,
Mhm.
like it's like it gets to actually be so easy to succeed more, especially to the 5 grand mark. Like with all due respect to anyone at the beginning of their business, I think the best bubble to pop is like you are not asking for the world. Like I know it feels big when it's your first business, but it's 5 grand a month. It's not 50 grand a month. Like it's not that hard. And I know your brain can tell you it's really hard, but it's actually really not. It's just that the quality of your actions needs to be better because that feels like such an exhale for you as a business owner where you're like, I don't need to post more, but I need to be better. Like I
Yeah.
need to, that's it. And so when we increase just being a bit better behind your marketing and being a bit better behind your niche and positioning and being a bit better behind making sure that you close the sale of that perfect client and you know what to say when they DM you, that's going to be important and you know how to find them, then you realize that the actions you're taking are probably less. They're taking less headspace because you've worked on that piece, but also you're getting that bigger result. And I love that like combination in you. I feel like it's just shown so well. Do you want to talk quickly about the niching thing? Because I know that's been big for you, like a big
Oh,
impact.
yeah. Yeah, so I knew that I probably needed to niche, but I was just like I don't know how, I don't know who. And then it's just doing through doing the invested client document has just got me so clear on that and just that understanding of like if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And I knew that as well, but I'm still doing it because I just felt like I had to post something. So I'm just like scrambling around for ideas of something to post. And I'm like, that will do just to get it out and just to tick that off the box, which is actually so unproductive. And that's what takes up so much time and headspace and energy as well, I think. But
Mm.
yeah, through completing the invested client document, I basically just took one client who I knew was my dream invested client and used her. And that's how I'm positioning myself now. And I have definitely noticed like a shift in who is finding me through that content that I am putting out, which is really encouraging. Yeah, I feel like I just thought niching was like harder than actually what it was. When you see it laid out there on the form, you're like, oh, okay, now I know who I'm talking to.
I think also I was saying this to someone yesterday is because a lot of the time people are told to do something, not how to do something. So I
Mm.
work with people who have gone through like content and marketing courses, and again, they're like really resistant to doing it because they're like, no, I've already done it, and I'm like, babe, you've clearly not done it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think even courses that I've seen, they're still telling you to do it. Or, for example, they are giving you the form to fill out, because again, I've been in them, and they're explaining it. Whereas in the client mastery section, when you filled that form out, the difference is I've shown you how to identify that person. Because a lot of the time people are niching, even in like much more expensive courses than Rebirth, and they're filling these forms out. But if I've looked at them in a group container myself, if I've been a client on those things, I'm like, this is clearly not their client because they don't have the money, they don't have the inclination to invest, which is why I called it the invested client, because it's just doesn't make any sense to position your business towards someone that doesn't have the money or want to invest in what you're doing,
Mhm.
because then people's business becomes this whole like persuasion thing of like needing to kill so many objections. You don't really need to kill objections with a client that's just like, oh yeah, I really want to do that. Like it's just not too much of a thing. So I think it's where it's really being supported and being shown like, here's how to identify that client, and here's that little point and the right question of like, when was it that, and what did they say at this point? So you've got those answers. Because agree, I think for some people they think niching is like this huge fucking soul searching exercise they need to spend 6 months on. But you have the answers in you now. It's just, have they been brought out properly? And then I know for you as well, I have a podcast launching on this at some point right now, of like the whole your modality is not your business, and I know that's been really big for you.
Yeah,
What's been
massive.
that been like in your language, not mine?
Um, yeah, I feel like I was sharing a lot before on like the real specifics of like the modality and exactly like how it worked and like trying to promote, I guess I was trying to like promote solution focused hypnotherapy over just trying to like promote the outcome of it. And I feel like that's been like a big shift for me is like just focusing on less about what we're going to do, because obviously I'm going to tell you that in the session, like obviously we're going to do that work in the session and you're going to really understand it. And there is, I think there are some things that are relevant to share about it, about how it's like different from traditional analytical talk therapy. Like that piece I think is important to share, but I don't need to get into like the nitty gritty of like what it is, what we're going to do, because that's what you're going to learn when you come. It's just giving people what they're going to gain from it. And that's what I'm selling. And I'm selling myself too, because if people want to work with me, then they'll come and work with me no matter what I'm doing. I could be doing a completely different modality, but they'll still come and work with me if they want me.
You have you felt
Yeah.
a real change in like your personality coming out of the business, or your like strength and conviction in content like that?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just way more like confident that I'm going to keep getting like a influx of
Mm.
clients. And that's massive because where I would have been like majorly wobbling about that before, thinking
Mm.
like even if I had a good month, I'd be like, well, that is probably not going to be the same next month.
Mm.
And what if
Mm.
everyone like cancels, or like what if that I don't
Mm.
get any inquiries this week? And I definitely have like trust that that's not happening now. I'm able to shut that down like really quickly. And even if somebody does for whatever reason like cancel, or I'm just like, okay, like it literally is like water off a duck's back, which I
Mm.
feel like is very, very different to how it would have
Mm.
been before.
I love this so much.
Yeah.
Last two little bits that I thought we could do before we just kind of wrap up like your result, and then I send you on your way,
Hmm.
is how would you kind of put it to someone in terms of like, so if someone's like, okay, this sounds cool, I've taken a lot from this conversation, maybe even their own shifts of like how they're seeing themselves behind the business, and probably like the shit that they shouldn't and don't need to be tolerating, like those wobbles, those doubts, and the spending hours on Instagram and all that kind of shit. But what if they're like, okay, when it comes to sort of how do you guys do this together, which there's only so much we can explain that, right? Until you're in the experience. But I feel like in back in the day, my worry, my back would have been up on like, okay, but like a course sounds really intense, you know? And so you have two young kids, you have a business, you have a job, you have a
Mhm.
husband, and you have no desire to be up till 11 o'clock studying.
Mhm.
So what has the course and the work looked like? Because I know for some people it's like, oh, but that sounds like a lot of work for you to have done. So, what, in your words, if you're explaining to a friend, what has the actual contents of Rebirth been like as an experience for you? Has it been a lot of work or,
I feel like it would be more work like not to do it, honestly.
right? Yeah.
Because um so yeah, that was one of like my that was kind of like one of my objections. Like,
Mm,
I'm just giving myself more work when actually the objective in my life is to like do less. That was the reason I was trying to come out of teaching, was to actually create more like freedom and more like pockets in the day where I could like go for a run or do this and that and not be like really tied in. Um, so yeah, it hasn't been as it's not that though. Like, it's not like super intensive. It's not like you don't have to give over hours to it. Like, I often listen to the audios when I'm like sorting out the washing, or like when I'm in the car, or if I drop my son at school and then I'm walking back, I'll listen to something. And then I then do make sure I go over it. Like, usually after the kids are in bed, like sometimes I'll give like say half an hour, 45 minutes to it to go over something and then like journal on something, or if there's like a specific like prompt that I wanted to go back to or whatever. But the actual listening to the audios and the learning, I feel like is not very time consuming, because there are certain ones you can do like just on the go and you can like fit it in and around what you're already doing. Um, so yeah, I feel like honestly it would be more work, like I said, not to do it, because I potentially would still be just like scrambling around for like what is it I'm supposed to be doing and wasting all this time. Whereas this way I can just be way more productive with my time. And it's enjoyable as well. Like, it's like I like doing it. It's not like a chore. It's like, cool, I'm on this section now. I get to learn about this and what's that going to uncover. And I've done a lot of work on myself, a lot of work on my mindset, a lot of, I've done a lot of it anyway. So, but there's always more layers to it, isn't there? And the
mhm.
stuff that I've discovered in a personal growth sense is like just as incredible as the stuff that I've discovered from like a business strategy
I
sense.
love that.
And I didn't really expect that, because I just kind of thought, well, I've done that stuff, I've done the personal growth stuff. I just need to learn the
Yeah.
business stuff. But it's so interconnected.
Hmm. Yeah. And has been so paramount to your result because
Yeah.
if we hadn't really got a new handle on the overthinking or the, oh, I'm not a proper business owner, or I'm not, I couldn't earn 5 grand a month. Like, I remember when you came in, you were like, I just want to earn three. And then I remember you being like, no, I want to make five.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like that, guys, that doesn't come from outside of you, that comes from inside of you, you know? So it's like, if we hadn't got a handle on that, nothing would have happened. Like, you'd still be on the explore page on Instagram copying people's content
Yeah.
or posting something and being like, oh, is that too much? Or you're never going to sell well if you can't stop the voice in your head that goes, am I being salesy? Is this too much?
Yeah,
Like,
oh, that voice used to be so big for me, and especially around like sharing pieces of my own story. Like, I had like a major
mm,
block about that. I was like, oh, well, I can't do that because it's not professional, and nobody wants to hear from like a therapist that's like been through their own stuff, because they want their therapist to be this like absolute like guru of like perfection. Um,
yes.
so I've dismantled that belief quite a bit.
We love, I hear that so often.
Mm.
Yeah. And I don't think people have any idea they're carrying it, and it is blocking so much. It is blocking so many clients. It's blocking creative flow behind their content. Like, there's
Hmm.
so much content inside you. There should actually never be a moment where you're like, I don't know what to post, because
Yeah.
you are literally it and living it. So when there's that problem, it's you're the problem. Like, the strategy isn't. Um, but in terms of the strategy, I know you were in that space of like, just tell me what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
But I know, that's felt quite bespoke. It's not just like, you need to do this and then here's your plan. It's been very optional of like, listen, these are the pieces we need to master. You know, how would you describe that? I don't even know how you would not describe that in my words. So how's that been like? Like if someone was like, okay, so what, you have like an actual plan now of how to make more money in your business. Has that felt rigid? Has that just felt handed over? Has it felt unclear? Like how has that felt in your words, I suppose?
Um, I think it's definitely not been rigid because everyone's business is different. Everyone's client they're trying to reach is slightly different in some way, isn't it? And it's I think learning the business fundamentals and then just applying it. But I was like surprised how like personalized it was. And I feel like it's genuinely such a supportive space. Like any question that I have that's like specifically related to my business, like you'll give me an answer based on what you know about me and my business, not just like a generic answer,
Mm,
which I feel
yeah.
like is amazing. Um, Yeah, so I feel like I do have a plan to follow, but I created that plan based on the knowledge and the experience that you share through
Mm,
Rebirth. And then if I am unclear, which sometimes I am, especially when it comes around to naming my stuff, which I find horrendous, then I know that I can ask that question and I'll get a response from you that's not just like a generic
mm.
response. It's a response tailored to me and my
And
business.
I know that you hadn't invested in business coaching before, but some people that come into Rebirth had, and they've invested with someone that's really like the opposite way, where they're like, here's what you have to do, and you need to send 15 messages, and they should say this, and then you need to like, and I'm the opposite of that, but it's like you don't have to be like that, but equally you shouldn't be wondering, I don't know what to do, but it's very easy to be like, okay, I get it. I need to generate business, I need to warm business,
Mm.
I need to close business. Here's different ways that I can do that. That one feels good for me, or that one feels ick. I don't want to do that,
Yeah,
and also maybe like different times you change that plan as well, but it feeling good for you is showing that.
yeah.
So talking about your future from here, which is so fucking exciting, and we still have like 6 whole months together, which is just absolutely mental. You're already in a position that I know that you didn't even ask for before you came in. So you've dropped one of your teaching jobs.
Hmm.
Your money has 3 times, which is so exciting. You are clearly in a very different space. Your experience behind your business is balanced and fun, and the quality I think is what's so important. Like the quality of client you're getting, and you're much clearer on like, I'm not just a hypnotherapist, like this is what I do for people. But you're really starting to progress to move into the digital world, which I love for you. Like you've just done you're doing in-person talks, which are much more like, you're not just doing your in-person talks, you're like, okay, I know how to now turn these people into clients, and I'm coming equipped with like, okay, I'll have a QR code to this thing, and then I'll, again, there's just so many gaps in people's businesses where I'm like, you've gone and done an in-person talk and you've not got a plan for how you're going to turn that into thousands of pounds, like why?
Yeah.
For why? So you're in that zone, but then I know you've just done your little download, which is so fucking cool, because that was something when we first spoke, you were like, I'd love to maybe get to the point where I'm making something passive or leverageable. So the future's so bright for you there, and like, are you excited about that? What do you see for your future? Like maybe even being a year from now?
Yeah, it's really exciting because I feel like the possibilities are kind of like endless with it. And just going back to what you said about kind of other styles of business coaching, I think what's really cool that like you offer is like that ownership for the business owner to be like, this is where I want to take it. And so, yeah, with that, I do feel like I have complete kind of ownership of it and where I would like it to go. I think I ultimately would like to make more digital products and then kind of be generating more passive income. That would be great. And then maybe doing some kind of like group programs, moving into that. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm just really enjoying where I'm at right now with this like level of clients coming in, like the quality of the clients coming in, like the quality of the results coming out. Like it just feels really good. So I'm happy to kind of keep it at this level and then kind of explore what comes next. Because actually, at like 16 clients a week, I am kind of like maxed. So then it is like, well, what's the next bit then, you know?
Mm. And I
So
think it's
you can help me figure that out.
that is your problem list. Thanks.
Yeah.
Easy. And I think what's very wholesome about your journey as a whole is you haven't made the mistake that lots of us make, where you wait and make stupid investments
Mm.
and do misaligned stuff. You've come in quite a pure zone, which is lovely,
Yeah. So fresh
and
and green.
so fresh. We fucking love it. And the beautiful part of where you are, or where anyone would be in this, is that it's chill. Where you are right now works for you. Your babies are so little, so like you're just good, and you're enjoying what you do, which is the most important thing. And the future is limitless, which we love. But I think the wonderful thing is you are so set up with the foundations where if you launch a digital product, why is that so hard to say? A digital product, or like your free download that you've done that's going really well, people think like, oh, I'll just launch a digital product or a course and it will sell. No,
Mm.
because if you haven't done your niche and your positioning and know who the client is and know the wording that you need, you're fucked. You could launch the best thing in the whole world, it isn't going to sell. But because those pieces for you are down pat, they're not going to change. Like, you're not going to lose the skill now of knowing how to do that and how to sell it and how to market it. So it will be so easeful for you to launch something because you'll be like, oh, well, I know what my clients need and I already know, how to sort of wrap that up. So all I need to do is sort of record it and,
Yeah,
put
100%.
it
Like
online.
that piece does not like scare me or intimidate me. Like it just makes me feel like excited, like I could do that like when I'm ready. But yeah,
Mm,
as you say, I have two very little babies. And so
exactly.
I also it's not a sprint, is it? It's not like a rush to get to like the next thing.
Agree.
It's like you've got to like settle. I for me, I feel like I have to like settle into something, enjoy it,
Mhm.
and then be like, okay, cool, like let's go next bit.
Agree. I think you need to feel the stretch and the itch of like, I'm ready. And I think the
Hmm.
longer you can spend establishing a stage, the better. And I think as a mum, there comes different points in your journey as a mum where you're like, I'm ready to put more fuel on this thing. And then there's times where you're like, I just want to spend a year where I am and just getting really good at all the pieces of what I'm doing and
Yeah.
enjoying it. And that's like your prerogative, which is just so nice. So thank you for all of your time. You're just amazing. I'm so grateful for you doing this because I think people will have heard so many things for themselves in it.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you for everything
You're
because
welcome.
you've changed my whole life basically.
Just like